The supernova warning in the vast expanse of the galaxy, a powerful and ancient supernova, was on the brink of eruption. Its light, a deadly wave of energy, was racing toward a densely populated sector where countless alien civilizations lived. The supernova's impending arrival was detected by advanced telescopes, which painted a grim picture, a catastrophic explosion that could obliterate entire worlds. The Galactic Council, a prestigious assembly of the most influential species in the galaxy, was the first to receive the alarming news. They gathered in their grand chamber, a vast hall filled with representatives from every corner of the cosmos. The walls were adorned with holographic maps of the galaxy, glowing softly as the council members discussed the crisis. "Attention, everyone," said the council's leader, a tall, silver-skinned being named Talaris. His voice echoed through the chamber, causing a hush to fall over the assembled delegates. "We have a dire situation. A supernova is approaching our inhabited sector. It is moving faster than anticipated, and its explosion will be devastating." Murmurs of concern spread among the delegates. Some were visibly frightened, while others tried to maintain their composure. As the news settled in, the room became a flurry of activity. Each species began making frantic plans to evacuate their planets and find safer refuge in the galaxy. On the outskirts of the galaxy, in a remote human research facility, the scene was starkly different. While the rest of the galaxy's inhabitants were scrambling to evacuate, a group of human scientists and engineers were working methodically at their consoles. They were calm, focused, and determined, a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding elsewhere. Dr. Emily Carter, a lead scientist on the project, sat at the center of the bustling command room. Her team, composed of the brightest minds in human engineering and astrophysics, worked in unison, their faces illuminated by the screens in front of them. The hum of machinery and the clatter of keyboards filled the air, but the atmosphere was one of controlled energy. "Everyone, listen up," Dr. Carter said, her voice clear and steady. "We have less than a month before the supernova reaches its critical stage. We need to act quickly if we're going to stop this from becoming a disaster." Her team nodded, their expressions set with determination. Despite the gravity of the situation, there was a sense of purpose and resolve in the room. The humans were not just reacting to the crisis, they were planning to tackle it head-on. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council's representatives were watching the human efforts with a mixture of disbelief and skepticism. The idea that humans could handle such a colossal threat seemed absurd to many. The council members, representing species with advanced technologies and long histories, were not used to seeing such bold, untested plans. "Look at them," sneered Zorath, a reptilian alien with scales that shimmered like metal. "They think they can contain a supernova? It's laughable. They don't even have the technology to understand the scale of the problem." Others in the council, though skeptical, couldn't help but be intrigued. The humans' audacity was notable. They had a reputation for surprising the galaxy with their ingenuity and unexpected solutions. Some representatives whispered among themselves, wondering if this bold move might actually work. Back at the human facility, Dr. Carter and her team were deep into their calculations. They had developed a plan that involved deploying a network of massive energy absorbers and stabilizers around the supernova. This would theoretically allow them to redirect and control the energy, preventing it from causing widespread destruction. As the days passed, the urgency of the situation increased. The supernova's light was growing brighter, a harbinger of the catastrophic explosion that was to come. The human team worked around the clock, pushing their technology and their own stamina to the limits. They were not just fighting against time, but also against the doubts of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Despite the overwhelming odds, the humans were driven by a single, unshakable belief. They could save their galaxy and others from the supernova's fury. Their determination and innovative spirit were their greatest strengths, and they poured every ounce of their energy into proving that they could indeed make a difference. As the Galactic Council continued its debates and other species made their final preparations to flee, one thing became clear. Humanity was not going to back down. Whether they succeeded or failed, their resolve to face the supernova head-on was already making waves across the galaxy. The fate of countless worlds now hinged on the shoulders of a few human scientists and engineers. As the supernova approached, the galaxy watched, held its breath, and waited to see if humanity's bold plan would turn the tide or end in catastrophe. The first part of the story set the stage for an epic confrontation between human ingenuity and cosmic destruction. As the supernova loomed ever closer, the galaxy's fate rested in the hands of those who dared to face it directly. The human strategy. The news of humanity's audacious plan to contain the supernova spread quickly across the galaxy. Many alien species watched with a mix of disbelief and curiosity. The Galactic Council, still skeptical, kept a close eye on the humans' progress. In the heart of the human research facility, Dr. Emily Carter and her team were busy unveiling their strategy. The command room was abuzz with activity as engineers and scientists worked tirelessly. Large holographic displays showed detailed schematics of the containment technology, and the walls were lined with technical readouts. Dr. Carter stood at the center of the room, addressing her team with a sense of urgency and determination. "All right, everyone, let's go over the plan once more. We have to make sure every detail is perfect. This is our only chance." Her team gathered around, focusing on the large screen where the plan was displayed. The core of the strategy involved deploying a network of massive energy absorbers and stabilizers around the supernova. These devices would absorb and redirect the supernova's energy, neutralizing its destructive force. "We've designed 3 primary components," Dr. Carter explained. "First, we have the energy absorbers. These will be placed at strategic points around the supernova. They will capture and store the supernova's energy. Second, we'll use stabilizers to regulate the energy flow and prevent any sudden spikes. Lastly, we have the energy redirectors, which will channel the energy away from the galaxy." The team listened attentively as Dr. Carter continued. Each component will need to be precisely calibrated. The absorbers must be placed at exact distances to ensure they capture the right amount of energy. The stabilizers need to work in perfect harmony to avoid any fluctuations. And the redirectors must be directed with pinpoint accuracy. The team's excitement was palpable, but so was their anxiety. The plan was complex and untested, and the stakes were incredibly high. Despite their concerns, the team members were committed to making it work. They believed in their technology and in each other. Across the galaxy, the reaction to the human strategy was mixed. The alien civilizations, who had been quick to dismiss humanity's plan, were now forced to take notice. Some watched with bemusement, while others started to feel a glimmer of hope. The humans' bold approach was starting to make waves. In a grand hall of the Galactic Council, representatives from various species gathered to discuss the situation. Zorath, the reptilian alien who had previously mocked the humans, was now looking more contemplative. "These humans are not backing down," he said, his scales reflecting the light of the holographic display. "Their plan is unconventional, but they seem to have a solid grasp of the situation." Talaris, the council leader, nodded slowly. "Indeed, we must consider the possibility that they might succeed. If their technology works as they claim, it could be a breakthrough not only for them but for all of us." Despite the growing intrigue, many council members remained doubtful. The scale of the supernova and the complexity of the human plan were daunting. They were cautious, unwilling to fully embrace the possibility of success until they saw concrete results. Back at the human facility, the team was deep into their preparations. Engineers worked on assembling the energy absorbers, each one a marvel of advanced technology. The stabilizers were tested rigorously to ensure they could handle the immense energy of the supernova. The redirectors were fine-tuned to achieve the necessary precision. Dr. Carter and her team faced numerous challenges. The technology was pushing the limits of what they had previously achieved. They encountered unexpected issues, such as energy fluctuations and alignment problems. Each problem was met with determination and creativity as the team worked to solve it. One evening, as the sun set over the research facility, Dr. Carter took a moment to reflect. She gazed at the massive supernova simulation displayed on the main screen, its bright light a constant reminder of the task ahead. Despite the challenges, she felt a deep sense of purpose. "Everyone, we're getting closer. she said, addressing her team. We've come a long way, but we have more work to do. Let's stay focused and keep pushing forward. The fate of countless worlds depends on us. Her words were met with a renewed sense of resolve. The team continued their efforts with even greater determination. They knew that every minute counted and that their success or failure would have far-reaching consequences. As the supernova approached, the galaxy watched in anticipation. The human strategy was a beacon of hope amidst the chaos, a testament to their ingenuity and courage. Whether the plan would succeed or fail remained to be seen, but one thing was clear: humanity had stepped up to the challenge and was giving it everything they had. The second part of the story highlighted the intricacies of the human strategy and the growing recognition of their efforts. The stage was set for the dramatic implementation of their plan, and the galaxy was on edge, waiting to see if humanity's bold gamble would pay off. Facing challenges as the supernova loomed ever closer, the human team's preparations intensified. The research facility, once a place of quiet anticipation, now buzzed with frenzied activity. Dr. Emily Carter and her team faced numerous challenges, testing their skills, patience, and resolve to the limit. One morning, as Dr. Carter reviewed the latest simulation data, a troubling anomaly appeared. The energy absorbers, which were meant to stabilize and redirect the supernova's energy, showed unexpected fluctuations in their performance. The readings were inconsistent, and it became clear that something was wrong. Dr. Carter called an emergency meeting with her lead engineers. The room was filled with tension as they gathered around the holographic display, which flickered with erratic data. "We have a problem," Dr. Carter said, her voice steady but urgent. "The absorbers aren't performing as expected. We need to figure out why and fix it fast." Engineer Alex Chen, one of the senior members of the team, examined the data closely. "It looks like the energy spikes are caused by a feedback loop in the system," he said, frowning. "If we don't address this, the entire containment could fail." The team sprang into action, working tirelessly to diagnose and correct the issue. They ran tests, recalibrated equipment, and adjusted settings, but the problem persisted. The pressure was mounting, and with each passing hour, the urgency increased. The supernova was drawing nearer, and every minute spent troubleshooting meant less time to implement the final plan. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council watched with increasing interest. Representatives from various species observed the human efforts with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. Many were still doubtful that humanity could succeed, but the sheer determination and innovation displayed by the humans were undeniable. In a council chamber, Zorath, the reptilian alien, couldn't hide his growing concern. "The humans are encountering serious problems," he said, his voice tinged with anxiety. "If they can't resolve these issues, we might all be in trouble." Talaris, the council leader, nodded. "We must acknowledge that their task is incredibly difficult. We should prepare ourselves for the possibility that their plan may not succeed. But we must also respect their courage and effort." Back at the human facility, Dr. Carter and her team were working against the clock. Exhaustion was evident on their faces, but they refused to give up. The team members supported each other, drawing strength from their collective determination. They knew that failure was not an option. Late one night, as the facility hummed with the sound of machinery, Dr. Carter gathered her team for a brief respite. They sat together in a small conference room, the fatigue in their eyes evident. "We've faced many challenges, and we're not out of the woods yet," she said. "But we have something that many others don't: hope and resolve. We can do this." Her words, though simple, ignited a renewed sense of purpose in the team. They returned to their tasks with fresh determination. The engineers made adjustments to the absorbers, recalibrating their settings to eliminate the feedback loop. The scientists worked on refining the stabilizers to ensure they could handle the supernova's energy fluctuations. As the team worked late into the night, they began to see signs of improvement. The energy absorber's performance stabilized, and the data showed fewer fluctuations. It was a small victory, but it was enough to keep their spirits high. They were making progress, albeit slow, and every improvement brought them closer to their goal. The day of the final test arrived. The team prepared to activate the containment system in a simulated environment, replicating the conditions of the supernova. The test was crucial to ensure that everything would work as planned. Dr. Carter watched with bated breath as the system was activated. The data streamed in, and the team monitored the results closely. For a tense few minutes, the room was silent, filled only with the sounds of clicking keyboards and murmured conversations. When the test concluded, the results were promising. The energy absorbers and stabilizers performed as expected, and the containment system showed positive results. It was a breakthrough, but there was still much work to be done before the final implementation. Dr. Carter gathered her team once more, her expression one of cautious optimism. "We've made significant progress, but we're not finished yet. We need to continue refining and testing to ensure that everything is perfect. The supernova is coming, and we have to be ready." The team nodded, their fatigue overshadowed by their determination. They knew that the challenges ahead were immense, but they were ready to face them. The supernova was drawing nearer, and the fate of countless worlds depended on their success. Starting the plan, the day of reckoning had arrived. The supernova was now just days away from reaching the populated sector of the galaxy. Humanity's bold plan to contain the cosmic catastrophe was about to be put into action. Dr. Emily Carter and her team prepared to deploy their technology in a high-stakes operation that would determine the fate of billions. The research facility was a hive of activity as the final preparations were underway. Engineers and scientists worked with precision, ensuring that every piece of equipment was in place and functioning correctly. The control room was filled with screens displaying real-time data from the energy absorbers, stabilizers, and redirectors. The tension was palpable, but the team's focus was unwavering. Dr. Carter stood at the center of the command room, giving last-minute instructions to her team. "We're about to initiate the deployment sequence. Remember, this is a complex operation, and every step must be executed flawlessly. Stay alert and communicate any issues immediately." Her team nodded, their faces a mixture of determination and nervousness. The plan involved several stages, each crucial to the overall success. The first stage was the deployment of the energy absorbers, followed by the activation of the stabilizers, and finally, the alignment of the redirectors. As the countdown began, the team prepared for the first stage. The energy absorbers were massive structures designed to be deployed around the supernova. They would capture and store the supernova's energy to prevent it from reaching the galaxy. "Deploying the first set of absorbers," said Alex Chen, one of the senior engineers, as he activated the controls. The massive machines began to move into position, their thrusters firing with precision. The deployment was executed flawlessly, and the absorbers were placed around the supernova as planned. The team monitored the absorbers closely, ensuring they were functioning correctly. The initial data showed that the absorbers were capturing energy as expected. It was a good start, but there was no time for celebration. The next stage was just as critical. With the absorbers in place, the team moved on to activating the stabilizers. These devices were designed to regulate the energy flow, preventing any sudden spikes or fluctuations. The stabilizers were integrated into the system, and the team carefully calibrated them to ensure smooth operation. "Stabilizers are online," announced Dr. Carter. The screens displayed steady readings, indicating that the stabilizers were working as intended. The team breathed a sigh of relief, but they knew that the final stage was the most crucial. The redirectors were the final component of the plan. They were designed to channel the captured energy away from the galaxy, directing it to a safe location. The alignment of the redirectors required precise calculations and adjustments. Any error could result in a catastrophic failure. Dr. Carter and her team worked meticulously on the final alignment. They adjusted the redirector's angles and monitored the energy flow closely. The room was filled with the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep of warning signals. As the redirectors came online, the team held their breath. The system was designed to absorb the energy from the supernova, stabilize it, and then redirect it away from the galaxy. The screens displayed a complex dance of numbers and graphs, showing the energy flow and containment levels. For a few tense moments, the data was unstable. The team worked quickly to address the issues, making adjustments and recalibrations. The supernova's energy was immense and unpredictable, and the slightest error could have dire consequences. Finally, the readings began to stabilize. The energy was being absorbed, regulated, and redirected as planned. The team watched in silence as the data confirmed that their system was working. It was a moment of triumph, but the operation was not yet complete. Dr. Carter addressed her team, her voice filled with a mix of relief and determination. "We've made it through the initial phase, but we need to remain vigilant. The supernova is still approaching, and we must continue to monitor the system closely." The team continued their work, ensuring that the system remained stable and operational. The supernova's light grew brighter as it neared the galaxy, but humanity's technology was holding steady. The initial success of the plan was promising, but the true test was yet to come. The galaxy watched with bated breath as the humans executed their plan. The reactions from various alien species varied from awe to continued skepticism. Some began to reconsider their initial doubts, while others remained cautious. The operation marked a significant milestone in the fight against the supernova. Humanity's bold strategy was showing signs of success, but the final outcome was still uncertain. The coming days would reveal whether their daring plan could withstand the full force of the supernova. Part 4 of the story highlighted the crucial implementation of humanity's plan to contain the supernova. The successful deployment and activation of their technology were significant achievements, but the ongoing monitoring and adjustment were essential to ensure the plan's ultimate success. The stage was set for the final stages of the operation, with the galaxy's fate hanging in the balance. The unexpected crisis as the supernova drew closer. The humans' containment system continued to function, but the situation remained precarious. The energy absorbers, stabilizers, and redirectors were in place, and the initial signs were promising. However, an unexpected crisis threatened to derail the entire operation. The facility's command room was quiet, save for the steady hum of machinery and the soft clicks of keyboards. Dr. Emily Carter and her team were focused on their monitors, tracking the energy levels and stability of the containment system. They had achieved a major milestone, but they were far from finished. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared, startling everyone in the room. The red warning lights flashed, and the screens flickered with alarming messages. The containment system was reporting a critical error. "What's happening?" Dr. Carter demanded, her voice steady despite the rising tension. Alex Chen, one of the senior engineers, quickly assessed the situation. "We're experiencing a massive energy surge from the supernova," he said, his brow furrowed with concern. "The absorbers can't handle the influx. We're on the brink of overload!" The team sprang into action, scrambling to address the crisis. The energy surge was far beyond their predictions, and it was causing the absorbers to malfunction. If they couldn't stabilize the system, the supernova's energy could breach the containment and wreak havoc. Dr. Carter reviewed the data, her mind racing. "We need to reroute the energy to secondary absorbers and redistribute the load. Adjust the stabilizers to maximum capacity and recheck the redirectors." The engineers worked furiously, making adjustments to the system. They rerouted energy flows, recalibrated the stabilizers, and attempted to balance the load across the absorbers. The room was filled with the sound of frantic typing and murmured instructions as the team worked to regain control. Despite their efforts, the energy levels continued to spike, and the alarms grew louder. The situation was dire, and it was clear that the team was running out of time. The supernova's approach was relentless, and the increased energy surge was pushing their technology to its limits. "Is there anything else we can do?" Dr. Carter asked, her voice laced with urgency. Alex Chen looked up from his console, his face pale. "We might have to manually override the system and activate emergency protocols. It's risky, but it could help us stabilize the energy levels." Dr. Carter nodded, her expression resolute. "Do it. We don't have any other options." The team initiated the emergency protocols, a last-ditch effort to regain control of the containment system. The override required manual adjustments and direct input into the control interfaces. The engineers worked with precision, making rapid adjustments to stabilize the system. As the team worked, the energy levels began to stabilize. The surge was being controlled, but the situation was still precarious. The containment system was holding, but the strain was evident. The alarms continued to sound, but the data showed signs of improvement. Hours passed as the team worked tirelessly to manage the crisis. Dr. Carter remained at the helm, coordinating efforts and providing guidance. Despite the exhaustion and stress, the team's determination never wavered. They were fighting against overwhelming odds, but they refused to give up. Finally, the energy levels began to stabilize more consistently. The alarms ceased and the warning lights dimmed. The containment system was back under control, but the team knew that the crisis had taken a toll on their resources and their morale. Dr. Carter addressed her team, her voice filled with both relief and resolve. "We've managed to stabilize the system, but we need to remain vigilant. The supernova is still approaching, and we must continue monitoring and adjusting our technology." The team nodded, their faces a mix of fatigue and determination. They resumed their tasks, aware that the final stages of the operation were still ahead. The unexpected crisis had tested their resolve, but it had also strengthened their commitment to the mission. Outside the facility, the galaxy watched with anticipation. The humans' struggle to contain the supernova had become a dramatic focal point, drawing the attention of countless species. The crisis had highlighted the immense challenges faced by humanity, but it also demonstrated their resilience and ingenuity. Part 5 of the story revealed the intense challenges and unexpected crises that arose during the operation to contain the supernova. Despite facing a critical energy surge that threatened to derail their efforts, the human team's determination and quick thinking allowed them to stabilize the situation. The final stages of the operation remained uncertain, and the galaxy's fate continued to hang in the balance.